So another Sunday goes by, and yet again, another loss for the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, so they're not going to be named the Dallas Cowboys no more. They're going to be the team that plays in Dallas. Well, the team that happens to play in Dallas, all right? And they played the Washington team formerly known as the Redskins, all right? And yesterday was a complete disaster from start to finish. And yesterday, a lot of the ugly warts surrounding the team that formerly plays in Dallas managed to make an appearance in yesterday's game. And every week it's the same thing, okay? But every week you have diehard Dallas Cowboy fans, Dallas Cowboy apologists that point the finger at everything. The reason why the team formerly known as the Dallas Cowboys are struggling is because of the simple fact you have Jerry Jones. He's a hands-on type of owner. If there's somehow some way we can fire him, we should fire him. We always firing the coaching staff or putting the coaching staff in the hot seat. But no one never points the real blame, and it's the players. And this has been going on. This epidemic has been going on for the past 3 years, and I just don't understand why the Dallas Cowboy fans do not see it, all right? It creeped its ugly head last year when they lost to, say it with me, y'all, the Buffalo Bills. Okay? The Buffalo Bills, all right? This has been going on for the past 3 seasons. Now, I will point blame on Jerry Jones from this perspective, okay? Because he's not totally exonerated, all right? Jerry Jones deserves some blame, but not all the blame, all right? And Jerry Jones deserved blame from this standpoint. Jerry Jones put the cart in front of the horse on a lot of the acquisitions Dallas Cowboys have on their roster. Yes, they spent a lot of their draft picks on the offensive line. And 3 years ago, we had a badass offensive line, okay? It was dominant, all right? But since then, we squandered away their best years. And now if you look at the offensive line of today, it's a pale of themselves, all right? Now, they do have injuries on the offensive line, all right? Second thing they did wrong, they didn't utilize their prime years when they could have been very competitive in those years. Second thing they done, putting the cart in front of the horse, is signing Ezekiel Elliott, because Ezekiel Elliott threatens to hold out, was going to hold out. And to me personally, you should have let him hold out, because once again, you still have Dak Prescott in the background, and you haven't even signed Dak Prescott, all right? So while you're waiting season after season, whether or not you want to sign him or not, it makes it more difficult and more expensive. Once again, Jerry Jones, you deserve 100% blame for that. The second thing they did was traded their picks for Amari Cooper, all right? Amari Cooper, that was on his last year. I mean, he had a year left on that old contract, okay? And once again, putting the cart in front of the horse when you had all these other obligations to take care of, re-signing Dak Prescott. What about your offense? You had some talented player. You had some decent players on the defensive side, okay? And every year, we're always losing a defensive player. That's pretty average, pretty good, all right? We always lose them to other teams because we are in a hard salary cap and you can't pay everybody. You can't make everybody happy. I understand that, okay? You can't have it all. I understand that. But putting the cart in front of the horse, that really hurts your team, okay? And now our defense is a shell of themselves. And the defense wasn't even, it was, somewhat average last year. But they lost a lot of leads. They couldn't stop anyone to save their life, but there was a lot better than the defense that we got now. Because now this defense is completed, okay? There's not a player there that can salvage this season, okay? If you sign all of the free agent acquisitions on defense, it still won't be able to help you get out of the hole of how bad your defense is. All right, because you once again putting that on Jerry Jones. He put the cart in front of the horse. He worried about Ezekiel Elliott. He never utilized the offensive line's best years. Okay, and when you talk about the receiver, and I just forgot his name. I just mentioned his name. Okay, he's coming. He's got 1 year left. You just forced to sign this player, and then what makes matter even worse, you just drafted CeeDee Lamb this year. Okay, whatever. All right, but coaches cannot. Last I checked, coaches cannot catch the ball. They can't make tackles. They can't secure the ball. They can't stop the team. They can't make crucial stops. They can't make crucial plays. Okay, all coaches are there for is to put you in the best possible position as far as winning games. But ultimately, the players dictate and control their destiny and their future. Now, you just had an article, I want to say 2 months ago, and it was this, and I forgot the Dallas Cowboy player name. He plays on defense. And he says, well, every once in a while we take plays off. You just can't go 100% on every play. All right. And I remember a time when Randy Moss said that when he was playing for the Oakland Raiders. Think about this for a second, folks. We're talking about Randy Moss, a freak of nature. Okay. He can just, in his prime, he can just get on the football field and instantly get 2 catches for 2 touchdowns. Okay, that's how a phenomenal athlete is. All he has to do is just run down the field, throw the ball up in the air. 9 times out of 10, Randy Moss is going to catch that ball. Okay, that dominant type of player. Okay, said, quote, he doesn't go 100% on every play. All right, and we crucified him. All right, do anyone remember how we crucified Randy Moss? Talking about how selfish he is. He's squandering his talent. Okay, this is a high-profile athlete. This is a superstar saying this, all right? And we crucified him. We buried him, all right? You got this mediocre defensive back who's, he's not even a starter. He's only in a select few plays. Doesn't mean he's not a hill of beans. I can't even remember the guy's name. And he's saying, well, we don't go 100% on every play. All right? And yet he doesn't get crucified. That people don't use him as an example of, see, this is the problem with the defense. If this below average player is thinking that, what you think your leaders on defense are thinking? Sometimes the people that are not in leadership roles, or not the ones that dominate the media press runs and interviews like that, sometimes the smarter players tell you what's really going on in the defensive locker room. And if he has that type of attitude, what makes you think that? What do you think he develops that from? He develops that from the leaders, the so-called, quote, star players on defense, all right? And that's what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboy defense stinks, okay? And they don't care about stinking, all right? Now, you got all these Dallas Cowboy players talking about anonymous Dallas Cowboy players talking about, the reason why we're struggling is the defensive coordinator. We don't understand his play. He doesn't take time in preparation. He doesn't teach us the format, okay? Some of these players have been playing in the National Football League for like 7 or 8 years, all right? You probably done went through numerous different type of schemes, defensive plays, things of that nature, okay? And this is the same defensive coordinator that was with the Ravens. Same one, all right? I mean, I'm not saying that this defensive coordinator is the end all and be all right? But if the scheme is so complex, okay, how come this hasn't reared its ugly head on his other stops, okay? And I know people are going to say in the comment section, okay, if he was that good, then why was he on the open market? Why did they, if he was that good, he would stay with one team, right? Well, that same could be said about the defensive players that the Dallas Cowboys have. If these players were so good, then how come that no one else wants them? Or how come no one else picked them up? Okay? That argument, that debate can go either way. All I can do is judge the performance on the defense. And the defense, they can't stop a cold, okay? They can't stop a team if their life depended on it, all right? They couldn't stop the Washington Redskins. The Washington Redskins that are still searching for their quarterback. Yeah, that Washington Redskins. The Washington Redskins that don't have a lot of weapons on the field offensively. But you guys want to make excuses for the Dallas Cowboys defense. The Dallas Cowboy defense is going to stink because of the toxic environment that locker room has towards one another. You need another example on how toxic the Dallas Cowboys locker room is? You want another example? Really? They didn't even pull up Andy Dalton. Oh, Red Rifle Andy Dalton, when he went down hard on an illegal tackle. You see one player in this screenshot trying to pick him up. Look at the other players. The other players got their back, look like they're heading, they got their backs away from Andy Dalton. That's all. That picture is all you need to know about the Dallas Cowboys. If you don't know nothing about football, football is the ultimate team sport. And when one of your teammates go down like that, illegally, and then there's no repercussions, you just continue doing what you was been doing. This is an I team. This is a selfish team. I remember last week I was telling you guys that, if I was the Dallas Cowboys, I would just play this out, hey, there's no sense of trying to switch, trying to salvage this or try to figure things out. I would just ride this on out. They will get either, if not the number 1 pick, maybe the 2 or 3 pick. And then there's a possibility they can get Trevor Lawrence. So if you wasn't 100% sure on signing that, if you can't sign Dak Prescott before the NFL draft, then that should all automatically tell you that they're not highly confident in Dak Prescott. So you might as well just go ahead and start over and trade him to a team that will sign him that extension. I said that last week, okay? Now, people are going to defend this. People are going to come in the comment section and talk about, so you're going to trade Dak Prescott? Look, he's not the problem. Okay, they wasn't doing nothing when Dak Prescott was there this year. When Dak Prescott was there, they wasn't doing nothing. Okay? And I'm not saying Dak Prescott is a scrub. Okay, but let's not fool ourselves and think Dak Prescott is Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, all right? And I like Dak Prescott. I would have signed Dak Prescott seasons ago, all right? I would have just signed him and just build my team around that. And I also said last week that they should do like what the Seattle Seahawks did with Russell Wilson. They had a choice: either build on top of the great defense that they had, or build around Russell Wilson. And that's what they chose. They chose Russell Wilson. And it comes out, and after a couple of seasons, seems like Seattle Seahawks are doing damn good. They made the right decision. Okay, even though the Legion of Boom teammates didn't like the direction the Seattle Seahawks were going, but nevertheless, seemed like that decision paid off. And that's what the Dallas Cowboys need to figure out, okay? Are we signing, are we committed to Dak Prescott? We're going to build around Dak Prescott, okay? Or are we going to use these picks and start replenishing the defense, starting it all over again? They're at a crossroad. Jerry Jones, them are literally at a crossroad. You got problems on the defensive side of things. You got a lot of holes and a lot of areas on the defensive side of things. Okay, you got a question mark at quarterback. That's your question mark. Now, to me and to the rest of the world, I think Dak Prescott. I think you should sign him long term. All right. But if you got a question mark with Dak Prescott and you still got problems as far as building, you can't do both. You're going to have to pick a struggle. Okay, so what you're going to pick, okay? Me personally, I would sign Dak Prescott and I would use these high draft picks to replenish the football team. Okay? Or sign Trevor Lawrence, or draft Trevor Lawrence if you get the number one pick. And just start all over again. That's the crossroad the Dallas Cowboys are currently in. All right. And the smartest move, in my opinion, is go ahead signing Dak Prescott when the season's up. Sign Dak Prescott, sign him to that long extension, and then start building around Dak Prescott. Like similar to what the Seattle Seahawks did with Russell Wilson. Go ahead and sign him. You already have him. He already knows this organization. He wants to be there. You really want him there. So there you go. All right. And then you start using those picks as far as helping the defense, replenishing the offensive line. You already got a receiver core. Okay. You got CeeDee Lamb on one side. All right. And Amari Cooper on the other side. Maybe, now Ezekiel Elliott, you still got him under contract. He's not going anywhere. But next year should be making or breaking for Ezekiel Elliott. And if he's still doing what he's accustomed to doing, then you might have to, at the end of next season, you might have the discussion with Ezekiel Elliott talking about, hey man, we love you and all, but you're gonna have to take a reduction in salary. If he doesn't want to do that, you cut your losses and you move on, because you can easily find a running back. Running backs are a dime a dozen. Running backs really don't matter in this current era of football. Okay, so you don't necessarily need a stud at running back. You can replace him simply. You may not replace his production, but you can easily replace when you utilize the running back, particularly when you're throwing the ball more than than handing the ball off. Particularly when you got Dak Prescott to that huge extension. You're not going to sign a quarterback to a huge extension only for him to turn around and hand the ball off. It just doesn't work that way. All right. So, these problems of the Dallas Cowboys are self-inflicted. They're, any coach, if you fire Mike McCarthy and his coaching staff and you replace him with another coaching staff, the problem is not going away anytime soon. All right. Mike McCarthy inherited a football team that wasn't even good last year. He inherited a defense that wasn't all that great last year or the year before. After all, they lost to Buffalo last year. They lost to the Jets last year. Do anyone remember that? I forgot all about that. They lost to the Jets. The New York Jets, okay? Who's trying to figure out who's going to be the quarterback for the Jets. You had Bell, and I believe he was injured that game. And that's pretty much it. And they lost to the Jets. Okay. That should tell you that should tell you everything you need to know about the Dallas Cowboys defense. All right. But I'm up out of here. I will see y'all next tomorrow with another video. Deuces.